Today we have with us two people from my field of work, pharmacy. We have husband and wife team, Michael and Joan Kim, both pharmacists and entrepreneurs. They currently have ownership in multiple pharmacies in the DC area and have owned 8 different pharmacies since 2005. Dr. Kim graduated from Howard University College of Pharmacy in 1998 and was part of the first ever entry-level PharmD class to graduate from the College of Pharmacy. And Joan graduated from St. John's College of Pharmacy in New York in 1995 and has worked in both hospital and community pharmacy settings before moving to Maryland to start a new life. Joan has helped countless patient lives over the years with her vast knowledge of alternative medicine and nutrition. She has been featured in local newspapers and has been a featured speaker representing women in pharmacy. She has been able to juggle being a business owner, pharmacist, wife, and a fantastic mother to 6 children. Yeah, they keep busy. Michael has been the recipient of several awards since graduating, including the Bowl of Hygeia, which is one of the highest honors in pharmacy, the Howard University College of Pharmacy Alumnus of the Year Award, and the Washington, D.C. Pharmacy Association Pharmacist of the Year Award. He has been featured in multiple pharmacy publications and has been interviewed by many news outlets. Michael's the current chairman of the Care Pharmacies Board of Directors, was a vice president of the National Community Pharmacists Association for 6 years, and is a board member of the Howard University College of Pharmacy Board of Visitors. Joan enjoys cooking, traveling, gardening, walking, ballroom dancing, hanging out with her children, and hosting dinners at her house. Michael enjoys anything that Joan enjoys because that is what makes him wise. He also enjoys playing ping pong and billiards, riding his Harley, bungee jumping, and jumping out of airplanes for fun. So without further ado, please help me in giving them a warm Rotary welcome to Michael and Joan.
Thank you, Alexander, for the introduction. And thank you, everybody out there, for showing up today. I'd like to think that you guys showed up to hear us speak. You know, that's my ego talking, but I know that it's the nice weather and it's also the great food that you come for. So, you know, I put that to rest. Is the speech? Okay, great. Well, just for you, just so you know, my wife and I did not prepare any formal speech. I didn't want to get up here and just talk to you. I wanted to really just start a dialogue and start a conversation about pharmacy. I just want to give you a little background about pharmacy, kind of, you know, especially my pharmacy on Capitol Hill. And then I want to turn it over to my wife to talk about some things that are more practical to you in your life. So right now, I had the opportunity to go do a rotation at Grubb's Pharmacy on Capitol Hill in 1997. And I was the first student to go there from Howard University as a student. And you know, they like what they got. So they ended up hiring me after graduation, 1998. 5 years into it, I had other opportunities. And then the owners, I basically went to the owner and said, you know, I need to know what's keeping me here at this location. And so that's how the ownership discussion started. He had already been there for about 35 years. And I ended up buying the place. So everything worked out. You know, thank you. You know, people always ask me, you know, how did you end up buying the place? And I just tell them it's, you know, it's a combination of being at the right place, the right time, right circumstances, and it's all about opportunities, right? And I try to drill this into the students when I talk to them. Like, you're going to get opportunities all the time in your life, coming and going. And it's, you know, knowing when to jump on the opportunity when it feels right. And if you wait too long for those opportunities to just feel exactly right, sometimes you miss a lot of those opportunities. So Grubb's Pharmacy is the oldest pharmacy in Washington, D.C., and it's been there since 1867. So 155, some, you know, almost 160 years ago it started, and it's just kind of been handed down and down over the generations to different independent owners. Now, you don't see a lot of independent pharmacies around anymore. And a lot of people are still surprised that independent pharmacies still exist and how we can exist in the world of CVS's and Giants and Walgreens and all of that stuff. But, you know, I tell them it's easy. It's not competition. We don't see them as competition, right? although they're in the drug prescription business, but we're in the people business. And that's what the big difference is, right? We cater to the people, we cater to our neighborhood, we get involved in the neighborhood, we sponsor different events, Little League baseball, things like that. And, we get involved. Whereas the CVSs of the world, it's a commodity place. You go in there, you pick up what you need and you buy it and then you're gone, right? There's no relationship building there. So we're all about building relationships with our community. It's funny, we're in the process of hiring some pharmacists now, and it's a different world and the different questions and requests that the younger generation is asking for, when they start, how many vacation days do I get right off the bat, right? How many mental health days do I get? That's a question I've never heard of. But as our student was talking about, everyone feels like they need a mental health, and I think that's being taught in the schools now, and it's becoming more mainstream. So I told this young lady, I said, listen, we're already giving you at least 52 mental health days a year. Right? I don't know if we need to give you any more, right? We're closed every Sunday. You take your mental health day and you come back to work on Monday, right? That comes from, I switched it up a little bit because the previous owner, the gentleman that I bought the pharmacy from, he used to always say, you know what, I'm such a nice boss. I give everybody, 52 vacation days a year, right? We're closed every Sunday so you can take a vacation day, right? And so I kind of just spun off of that. But, it's been a great ride. Community pharmacy, I think for those who are really innovative, forward thinking, they just, they're on top of it. They're moving and changing with the times. They're going to be around. I mean, independent pharmacy has been around for a long time. And I think the ones that are really invested in the community and in their business, they're not going anywhere. It's unfortunately, some people get really stagnant and complacent, and they kind of take their eye off the ball. So when things start happening, I'll give you a perfect example. When COVID hit, right? There was an opportunity that opened up for pharmacies and pharmacists to start vaccinating and to start testing their communities. And there's so many community pharmacists out there that just kind of sat on their hands and didn't do anything during this pandemic time. For us, we jumped on it right away. We partnered with HHS. We were one of the first community testing sites in the district. We started vaccinating. And you know what? That has created so many opportunities for us. And it's created so many relationships with people that have never been in the pharmacy. They said, I've been in the neighborhood for 10 years. I walk by or I jog by your pharmacy all the time for the last 10 years, but I've never been in. And this was an opportunity to bring them in and show them what they've been missing. So it's been really awesome. On the way here, my wife was reading an article, I think it was maybe out of New York Times, about drug shortages. And that's something that's going to continue. And that just kind of got me thinking, drug shortages are going to happen because, we're relying on manufacturers to manufacture these drugs. And when they go out of business or when they get caught doing things that they're not supposed to be doing, or unsanitary conditions or whatever it might be, then all of a sudden the whole world is up in a frenzy because there's no more of this particular drug, right? And so what my wife is going to talk about, what I asked her to talk about, she's much more knowledgeable in this than I am, and it's her passion, is alternative medicine, right? So there's some things that you really should be doing to yourself to treat yourself right, to treat your body right, so that when you get into your older ages, it doesn't fall apart on you, right? And I'll tell you, I was not a believer in this stuff. I thought my wife was just like, whatever, right? But over the years, I mean, she's pumping me with information, and I've seen the actual results. One of my favorite stories is my cold sores. Does anyone have cold sores, right? I'm sure a lot of people do. It's the herpes virus that's just sitting in there, and it's waiting for your body to get weak. And typically when you're stressed or when you're tired, when you haven't slept, it starts to creep out, and then you get the little tingling in your lips, And then if you don't do anything about it, next thing you know, you got this big, eruption on your lips, and it's terrible. It's painful and it looks hideous, right? And you're always like walking around like this, like talking to people. But there's a homeopathic drug called Apis mellifica that what is it really for allergies? It's
more for like these things kind of symptoms.
Yeah, whatever it's for, it works. Okay. So as soon as I feel the little tingling coming on, I'll take the little pellets, you put it under your tongue, you let it melt, and bam, it just knocks out the virus before it even gets started. So it's been a lifesaver for me, and I don't have to deal with. Yeah. Yeah, she'll go over it with you. So she's converted me into a believer. And so now, before we recommend medications to people, we're recommending things that are over the counter. And the reason I bring up drug shortages is because when there is a drug shortage, everyone thinks that there's no alternatives, but they're not thinking about alternative medicine. And if you think about pharmacy way back, 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago, there was no such thing as manufacturers. There was nothing that was pre-made, right? There's nothing, the doctor would write a prescription of all the ingredients that made sense to treat your symptoms. And then you would take it in, the pharmacist would mix it up, put in like a little envelope or something. You would take that home and take it, right? And that's kind of called compounding, is something that we also still do in our pharmacy. We still compound, which is a custom mixing of drugs that are not available in the commercial market, that is specialized to the patient's needs. And then, we'll make it up. So we can make it up in liquids. We make it up in suppositories, pill forms, transdermal gels. We make a lot for cats because cats don't like to take drugs. So we make it into a transdermal gel, which contains the medication, and you rub it inside of their ear, and it absorbs into their system through their ear. So you don't have to worry about the cat, like, clawing at you all the time, trying to stuff it down their mouth. So, yeah, before I hand it over to my wife to talk about the real stuff, I want to give you a little food for thought. Something that I've realized over the years is expiration dates for drugs, right? Now, how many people have drugs that have expired in their house? Everybody, right? Keep them there. Okay. Now, farmer. No. Hear me out. Right. Hear me out. Right. As a pharmacist, I'm not allowed to tell you to take those drugs. Right. But as a practical person, I just want you to think about something. Okay. Right. Who invented expiration dates? Right. Why did they invent those? Right. To keep the stock, rotating. Right. Now, what happens when there's a drug shortage and there's expired drugs in the pharmacy? The FDA magically says, you know what? We're going to extend the expiration date by 6 more months because there's a drug shortage, right? Did you ever think about that? Now, how does a drug know while it's sitting on your shelf that, suddenly on May 16th, it says it expires and it doesn't work anymore? So just, a few things to think about, right? So my general rule is, hey, if the drug looks like it did when you bought it, it's good. Right? As long as it's not growing any mold or anything on it. That's just my opinion, my professional opinion, but it's good. Okay. So let me let me turn it over to my wife to talk about some practical things now. Thank you.
Yeah, so I was really contemplating on what I want to talk about because there's so many things I want to talk about. But as I counsel people in the pharmacy, most people don't come in for prevention. They always come at the very, very end of their journey when they're already in trouble. They're already on a lot of medication. It's not working for them anymore. And I really wish that people would know the value of prevention. and the building blocks of health and what the bare necessity is for people to maintain their health and prevent illness from happening. So today I just want to talk quickly about two things. One is what my husband talked about, homeopathy, alternative medicine, which is really popular in places like France and Italy and Germany. They use that a lot. You go into a pharmacy, usually doctors prescribe, maybe if they feel like you have strep, they will give you an antibiotic prescription, but they will not tell you to take it until they get the lab results back. And then in the meanwhile, they will give you a prescription for homeopathy remedies, and you would be taking that until the results from the laboratories come back. And that's the reasonable thing to do. But nowadays, doctors, they look at you and they say, "Oh, I think you have strep. Let's try antibiotics first." And that really opens up a lot of side effects and problems down the road of resistant therapy. So I just wanted to touch on the building blocks of health and prevention of illness, and also treatment of simple things like digestive issues, nerve issues, things like cold sores, bug bites, things like that, that homeopathy can also treat as well. So I usually tell people when they come in and ask me, like, what are the 4 or 5 things that I really need to take to optimize my health and maintain it? First thing is vitamin D. It does so many things in your body. People don't know that it really shouldn't be called a vitamin because it's more like a precursor to all the hormones in your body. And if you're deficient in it, you won't be able to function properly. All your sex hormones, things like serotonin, melatonin, all of that really comes from that one vitamin. And people say, "Oh, I jog shirtless all the time. Why should I take a vitamin D?" It's because after a certain age, your body doesn't make it as well as it used to when you were 10 years old, rolling around on the beach. It's just not the same. And then, we usually cover some. I'm sorry? D, yeah, ergocaceferol, yeah. Vitamin D, yeah. So yeah, D is very important for, mood, immune health, cardiovascular health, bone health, obviously. And then omega-3, which is fish oil, because we eat a lot of fried foods. We consume a lot of omega-6s, which are like vegetable oils and things that we fry our food in, which is really inflammatory driven. Omega-3s tend to be anti-inflammatory in nature. So we want to really take a good grade of fish oil, not, $5 for 10,000 capsules from Costco. You don't want to buy cheap omega-3 because of the manufacturing practices are not very clean. Just like any other oil, you would never leave a salmon on the counter for months and then start taking it. It would become rancid. But people think it's okay to take rancid fish oil. If you take it and you swallow it and it comes up as fish smell, it's rancid. You really shouldn't take that, and it really does more harm than good. So you want to source a good, cleanly sourced omega-3. We like for people to take it from like smaller fishes if you're going to eat them, rather than eating a lot of big fishes that have omega-3. It's better to have the smaller anchovies, sardines, that kind of stuff. And also pill forms of it that is manufactured by the smaller fishes, so it doesn't have a lot of. You'll know, your body will tell you, you'll burp it up big time. Yeah, so you want to get it from a good source, at least a company that sources it clean, because it works on so many parts of your body. And if you don't have good omega-3 sources, your body's going to start making it with bad ingredients like omega-6s and 9s, and your cell structure is not as supple. It won't be able to recover well after injury. So for mood, blood sugar, cardiovascular health, and brain health. So we really encourage moms to give their kids a lot of fish oil. When they're pregnant, they really should be taking a lot of fish oil. Even when they're breastfeeding, they should always be taking a lot of omega-3s because it's crucial. Because once they're grown, it's really hard to force your kids to eat. But when they're inside of you, when they're little, you can kind of slip it in there. And then probiotics, so important. I don't even know how so many prescriptions are written for little children for antibiotics without, giving them an option to get some Saccharomyces boulardii in them, which is Saccharomyces is a yeast-based probiotic, and it doesn't die while you're taking antibiotic. So I have a huge section of the brand name is Flora Store for little kids stored in the front, because when you take antibiotics, all of the good guys and the bad guys die off at the same time. And you're kind of left with a blank slate in your gut. And it really opens you up to leaky bowel syndrome, all kinds of allergies, all kinds of gut problems. And it's shown that if children have leaky bowel and digestive issues early on, it develops learning disabilities as well. So it is really closely connected. So we really encourage moms and dads to give Saccharomyces with antibiotic therapy. Even if you're an adult, you really should look into that. And then once the therapy is done, you should start taking a really strong, cleanly sourced probiotic, because not all brands are the same. I call them pond scum, all these like really cheaply made, can't really source where the DNA comes from stuff. You don't want to have that. So some people say, oh, I'm going to take a bunch of yogurt, but you would have to literally take a truckload of yogurt to be able to make up for like a one cleanly sourced pill that's about 30 billion count right after completing antibiotic therapy. Also eating a lot of prebiotics like sauerkraut, kimchi, those kind of fermented foods will help the probiotics really flourish in your gut, because probiotics, it really lines all the orifices of your body, inside of your nose, all the way throughout the intestinal tract, all the way to the end, all your skin. So if you don't have good probiotics lining your gut, lining your mouth, your skin, everything, if there's a breakage in it, that's when ulcers start happening, colitis, stomach ulcers, esophagus deterioration. All of that can happen as a result of one single antibiotic therapy. Stress, believe it or not, kills probiotics. So they're the good guys, right? They make a thin layer of a wall inside of you. And if that is damaged, then your stomach itself will be eaten up by your own stomach acid, because there's no coverage, there's no protection. And a lot of people, when they're stressed, the probiotics will take the bullets for you, and it starts dying. And then people start developing ulcers. So that's why we say, if you're stressed out, don't take Pepsid, don't take, H2 blockers. Instead, go invest in some good probiotics, and your body will thank you for that. So I can't emphasize enough. We have really in-depth conversations with people about their gut health, especially when they come in and say, I haven't slept in days. And I always ask them, like, have you gone potty lately? What's your bowel looking like? And they usually say, I usually can't go. So it goes hand in hand, your bowel health and your mood, your sleep quality, all of that is kind of intertwined. So yeah, we have a lot of in-depth conversations with our customers when they come in. It's not just like a 2-second, like, oh, I'm having a problem going to the bathroom. I'm like, were you a C-section baby? We even start from there. Like, was your mom on antibiotics when you were a baby? Did you have a lot of earaches as a kid? All of that leads to how you are today. So we ask a lot of detailed questions, even for the smallest of the consultation. And they are usually gushing out with all kinds. I'm like, I am not paid to do that kind of therapy, but I can help you go to the bathroom a little bit better. And the last thing we want to talk about is magnesium. Magnesium, most of us are deficient in it. I kind of cringe when people ask for magnesium oxide, because that just makes you go to the bathroom. It really doesn't get absorbed into all of the cells that your body needs magnesium for. Magnesium does more than 600 biochemical reactions in your body, and there are also cofactors in more than 200 more of those. It's like 800 plus reactions that your body needs magnesium for. So we recommend magnesium bisglycinate, which really can cross the blood-brain barrier, can do a lot of support for your muscle, skeletal cardiovascular, mood. I mean, there's so many things that magnesium helps your body do. So if you're deficient in it, you really need to invest in some good magnesium bisglycinate. So that is about it. And then maybe a good multi that is not Centrum. I hate to say that one pill a day is not reasonable. It's A to Z in one pill. It's you're paying 99% of what you pay for in companies like Centrum is for their advertising. You're not really getting much of anything, especially like if you have calcium and other ingredients all jam-packed into one tablet, it kind of chelates to each other and gets excreted. So you're basically paying to feel good about taking a pill, but it really doesn't do much for you. So you want to, take a good food sourced vitamin. There's so many of them out there, and you'll notice the difference. If it's going to work for you, you'll notice same day that you won't be as sluggish, like around 3 o'clock when you need that extra cup of coffee, you won't need it as much. So, things like that. We want to encourage people to invest in your health. People are so cheap about investing in their health. It's incredible. They'll buy a $5,000 bag they can't even eat, but they're like, oh my gosh, this vitamin's $30. Like, I couldn't take that. I'm like, your priorities, right? So, quick things about homeopathy. I don't know. Have you ever heard of homeopathy medications? I think the popular brand that supermarket brands are called Boron. It's a French company. And the way you take them, it comes in a dissolvable tablet or little sugar granule pellets. And it can treat so many different things. But just a couple of things that I really like to recommend is for GI health and anxiety for children, because you can't really give kids Xanax and all these other kind of things. But when you give them homeopathy remedies, they really calm down almost instantly. Like little dogs and babies, they don't know what placebo is, right? So if it works on them, it works really well. So there's a lot of alternatives that you can do for homeopathy for little kids and even, small animals. It works really well for them. I know allergy seasons hit a lot of people very, very hard this season. A lot of tourists come running in, dripping in, whatever, and crying like, what is this place? Why is DC like this? And they're like, I need to go back to wherever I came from. This is ridiculous. And they don't know what it is. They think it's COVID. They think it's flu. I'm like, you have allergies. And they're like, what is this thing? I'm covered in it and I can't get it off. But simplest way to treat allergies is by taking things that are mast cell calming agents like stinging nettle, anti-inflammatory agents like quercetin, bromelain, N-acetylcysteine to kind of break down the histamines in your body that's causing all these reactions. So we encourage people to take products that calm the cells from producing so much histamines instead of just downing so much Allegras and Zyrtec and things like that, because you're trying to treat a problem at the very, very end of the problem instead of just preventing it. So if you tend to suffer from allergies, I highly recommend you take like stinging nettles and things like that around February for like a month. And then when March, April hits, you won't be coming down with like flu-like symptoms because of being hit with allergies. And there are homeopathic things that you can take to just kind of alleviate the pain as well. So yeah, if you have any other questions, I would be happy to. Oh my God, oh no, I was afraid of this. I know you guys have to adjourn soon. Okay, well, let's start with you first on the right-hand side. Yeah, the pink shirt.
Okay. Good afternoon. I've recently been diagnosed with rhinitis. So what would you recommend for that?
Oh, rhinitis. Okay. Well, rhinitis it's a symptom, right? It's not like a real, it's a disease, but they're just telling you what you have. But there's so many ways to treat that. We recommend like nasal lavage, like a real neti pot, treatment morning and night, but also taking things like, the allergy relief herbals as well as what we call histamicum in homeopathy, and it kind of dries things up almost immediately. But like I said, homeopathy is not a cure, but it'll help you get relief right away. So you'll be encouraged to treat the long-term problem.
Something tells me you're going to have some people showing up this week with longer conversations in mind.
Yeah, let's start with
Okay, good afternoon. It's wonderful to have you. And this has been extremely educational. And unfortunately, most of our pharmacists don't do any of this. Okay. But I am familiar with homeopathy, having lived in Brazil, and I actually had a doctor who prescribed it. Most American doctors don't. Okay. But can't do anything about that. My question is, first of all, where is your pharmacy? I might leave my CVS and come on over to Capitol Hill.
It's called Grubb's Pharmacy. It's on
Grubb's, I've heard of
it's on the corner of 4th and East Capitol Street.
Okay.
On Capitol
I
Hill.
was born on Capitol Hill, so.
So if you look up grubbspharmacy.com, you'll find it.
Okay.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And I want to mention that the Hahnemann Memorial, Hahnemann was the inventor of homeopathy, for those of you who don't know. How many have been to the Hahnemann Memorial? Know where it is? I'm the only one in the room who knows where it is, except for you guys. It's Scott Circle, and it's very prominent. It's right on the east end. Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Scott Circle in Washington, D.C. Beautiful memorial. Not that makes me a fan, but it's very, very well done. Anyway, thank you very much. And I wish more pharmacists were as educational as you.
I'll tell you that pharmacy school does not teach alternative medicine. They might touch on it for like maybe a day, but unless, like my wife, she learned all of this by educating herself, going to classes, and just, traveling the world and seeing things and learning things. So it's very, very valuable. I mean, it's above my pay grade.
we will stop by on our way to work.
We're going to take one quick question from the Zoom guests. What is your opinion on supplements that are advertised during Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune? Like Prevagen and Nervine?
Well, they're definitely targeting the audience that watch Jeopardy. So
Yeah. I mean, they're talking about medications that are advertised for certain diseases, right? Like rheumatoid arthritis, and I mean, they big money, right?
Yeah. So this is
Because they know that patients a lot of times drive what the physicians are going to prescribe. I mean, if you're a persistent patient, you're going to tell your doctor, I want this. Even if your doctor says no, you're going to say, you're going to give it to me. And guess what? They're going to give it to you. Right?
So I'll start by saying I am very excited to come to Grubb's Pharmacy and take up all of your time. However, I am curious if you have thought about creating some kind of a resource for your clients so that they can kind of research some of the things that you recommend on your own, because we are like an internet world, right? So we'll just go Google and take whatever that says. And then when that doesn't work, it's, I guess homeopathic.
Actually, if you go to our platform, I have two major manufacturers that I really pull a lot of knowledge from. Metagenics it's like the grandfather of all medical grade supplements, like Dr. Hutterman, Dr. Hyman, those really famous internet doctors that are alternative medicine driven. They all do research with them and for them. So there's a lot of learning opportunities on that platform. And also Thorne is another company that we carry. And they also, if you go into our website, it has links that you can learn from. And Boron also has their own website and platform that you can learn from. So,
But I think one thing I've learned from my wife is, true homeopathy or treatment of things using homeopathic medications is a very customized process, right? It's not a one size fits all type of solution. So it's hard to just get everything off of the internet, although that's, kind of our first default thing. But if you really want to, get into yourself and treat yourself, then you kind of have to go down the road of like really taking a patient, the history and all of these little nuances that my wife is talking about.
Good afternoon, and my name is Lisa Cohen, and I would really like to be your new best friend. I am totally into every single thing that you are talking about. I cannot stand medication, although I do understand it. But I wanted to know what you think about garlic,
Mm,
what you think about charcoal
mm,
for
mhm,
poisons,
mhm,
and
mhm.
what you think about castor oil, compresses.
Okay, so those three things I am very familiar with. Garlic is used for a lot of different kind of situations, but garlic in a pill form, it does come in a pill form. It helps with weight loss, which means it helps with metabolism, blood sugar control, cardiovascular disease prevention. So garlic does a lot of things. And if you leave garlic out, it attracts a lot of bacteria from the environment and cleans the air as well. So garlic does a lot of things. Charcoal, I've seen it used in a lot of poison control center situations. I used to work in poison control center years ago. When somebody overdoses on something, that's the first thing they will give you, make sure you have that diarrhea. And just get it out because it chelates to everything. So if you feel like you have food poisoning, that's a good remedy to have. Castor oil compression. A lot of people, if you have like, I have a lot of like lipoma in the arms and legs, and if you put it on a rag and compress with heated castor oil, it shrinks. And some people have even said that it shrinks like ovarian cysts as well. It can go really deep into the muscle, to the organ, but that's very cumbersome because castor oil is messy and you have to heat it up. There's devices that you can help to warm up the castor oil and put it on. But yeah, there's so many other alternatives to treatment.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for all your contributions in the Washington, D.C. area. And for experts like you is why we celebrate AAPI month. And then on behalf of our Trees for the Capital program, which is a program we have in our club, I'm pleased and honored to present you with a certificate signifying our commitment to plant a tree in your honor. And we're very high tech, so you'll get the GPS coordinates and an invitation to the tree planting ceremony. So thank you so much.